Hello and welcome to News Round, a recap of stories that made headlines during the week. Coming up, leading business figures, policymakers and entrepreneurs converge in Lagos for the 2026 Workers' Day edition of the Platform Nigeria, and speakers call for bold, deliberate action to drive national development and economic reforms. Grief grips communities in Gombi, Adamawa State as families plead with Governor for protection following a deadly bandit attack that claimed 29 lives. The Nigerian workers marked the 2026 International Workers' Day with rallies nationwide as labor leaders renew calls for better welfare and an end to insecurity and poverty. King Charles III and Queen Camilla continue their 4-day state visit to the United States as the King addresses Congress, highlighting the indispensable partnership between the UK and the US. A news round begins as Kogi State Police Command confirms the rescue of 17 pupils following a late-night abduction at Tajuddin Islamic Foundation and Children's Home on Monday, an Islamic primary school with an attached orphanage. The incident has raised fresh concerns about the safety of vulnerable children in institutional care. The police commissioner, Naziru Kakankofi, has assured families of the remaining 9 victims that efforts are ongoing to secure their safe return. He reaffirmed the command's commitment to restoring the children to their normal lives.
Zariagi, a community on the fringes of Lokoja, the Kogi state capital, has long been a transit point for travelers. But its interior remains dominated by rugged terrain and dense vegetation. The Tajuddin Islamic Foundation and Children's Home, also referred to as the Darul Kitab group of schools, is situated in a particularly isolated section of the community. The school is the site of the latest abduction in Kogi State.
Around 10 to 11, one of my children called me, talking with fear that some people in the night PM, telling me that some people entered the compound with gun, cutlass, chasing them. So immediately I called the security, my security here, but I couldn't get him. His number was not going through. So I started calling other security personnel. So before they came here, so those people have already gone with 7 children and my 2 wives, I mean.
They hold cutlass, and all of them they were speaking Fulanis. When due to their own odor, all of them are Fulanis. They were smelling like this odor of cow, like all of them, they're all Fulanis.
The location of the school has been a source of concern for the Kogi State Governor as well as the police. A statement from the State Commissioner for Information, Mr. Kingsley Fanwo, stated that the facility is operating illegally without government registration. According to the police, this lack of official recognition meant the school was excluded from the Safe School program, a security initiative designed to provide proactive police deployment and surveillance to educational institutions in vulnerable zones.
We have discovered in this particular case is that the school is not even registered by the state government, and the location is not ideal. It is in a highly remote and forested area with no accessible road. I wish you go and visit the place and see. The facility has no perimeter fencing, and most of the structure remains largely uncompleted, and I think it's not even conducive for learning and teaching.
As security operatives continue combing the surrounding forests for the remaining 9 persons, including 7 students and 2 wives of the school proprietor.
In response, a joint team of hunters, vigilantes, and the police went on to track the kidnappers. And in the process, 17 people were actually rescued.
Meanwhile, a staff of the school confirms that the kidnappers have reached out to the relatives of the victims.
Right now, they are demanding for the sum of 150 million.
The police is assuring residents of the community of improved security, urging them to go about their normal lives.
And it was another sad tale of terror in Guyaku and Talabala communities in Gombi local government area of Adamawa state, where residents have been plunged into mourning following a weekend attack that claimed at least 29 lives. The Governor Orphanage, who visited the community, promised residents that security measures will be beefed up immediately.
The pain of these women convey the impact of the attack on Guyaku and Talabala communities in Gombi local government area of Adamawa state. The peace of Guyaku community was disrupted following an attack by gunmen claiming schools and burning religious buildings in the area.
Yesterday evening, the youths who organized a football match, we are playing the game between two communities. Suddenly, Gunmen invaded our community and we are shooting sporadically, killing 2 persons sitting in a hut and burned down the hut.
Governor Umaru Fintiri arrives to the community to assess the situation and the extent of the damage. Some could not hold back their tears as they lament the loss of their family members. The traditional ruler of Gombi believes the attackers conspired with some informants in the community.
But the unfortunate thing is it appears there are informants who are in our midst, who are even maybe sons of the soil. You know, that's the situation.
While sympathizing with the people, Governor Fintiri confirms the casualty figure, describing the attack as sad and unfortunate.
As a state again, we wake up today with heartbroken with these incidents of the criminal activities of the Boko Haram in this community. And I've come to make assessment myself and to calm the people that the government and the security agents are on top alert to ensure that they are well protected.
He commended the security agencies for their prompt response in securing the area, promising to ensure that security is beefed up.
You can see now the presence of the military. I think that is the presence of the federal government that you are trying to inquire. The military are already here, and they will continue to be here. Whatever that they need to be here, we'll support them with.
The governor also urged the people to remain vigilant and fish out the bad eggs among them to assist security agencies in their response mechanisms.
And also top this week, workers across Nigeria, they mark this year's International Workers' Day, a day dedicated to recognizing the hard work and sacrifices of the workforce. The celebration highlights ongoing concerns about workers' welfare and economic challenges. At Eagle Square in Abuja, led by union leaders, including the president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Joe Ajero, and the president of the Trade Union Congress, Festus Osifo, in commemorating the day under the theme Insecurity and Poverty, the Bane of Decent Work. They call for improved conditions and stronger protection for workers nationwide.
Hundreds of Nigerian workers gathered at the Eagle Square to mark the 2026 Workers' Day in Abuja. The atmosphere is one of comradeship, with workers dressed in their regalia, adding color to the occasion. Solidarity! Solidarity forever! Labour leaders speak to the theme of the day, which is insecurity, poverty, bane of decent work.
This year's theme, insecurity, poverty, bane of decent work, speaks directly to the harsh realities confronting the workers. The 4 pillars of decent work: employment creation, rights at work, social protection, and social dialogue cannot thrive in an environment defined of fear and deprivation.
As we mark this year's day, let our message be clear. We will not accept a future defined by poverty. We will not accept policies that deepens suffering. We will not accept a system that exploits the many of the benefits of the few. Together in unity, the solidarity, we will continue the struggle until fairness, equity, and dignity becomes the reality for all.
From the Labour Ministry comes a solidarity message and the assurances for improved workers' welfare.
Let me reassure you that the federal government remains steadfast in its commitment to wage reforms. The recently implemented minimum wage is not the end of our journey, but a step towards ensuring that every worker earns a living wage that reflects both dignity and fairness. Beyond wages, we are investing in job creation initiatives that empower our youth, strengthen industries, and expand opportunities.
Secretary to the Government of the Federation is representing President Bola Tinubu, who restates commitment to improving the welfare of workers.
I assure you today that this administration is not resting on its work, nor is it indifferent to the plight of Nigerians. We are fully aware of the weight of these challenges and are confronting them with deliberate, coordinated, and sustained action.
On the sideline, Labour sector leaders make case for their members.
We are demanding robust security policy, that we protect every citizen, that we protect journalists in the course of their duty.
We believe that the last hope of common man is court, and which we have been doing good here. We won the first one, they took us to the other appeal courts, then we won again. We go back again for interpretation of the judgment, which they did us in our favor also again. So we appeal to federal government. They should look us in our second time to be sure to help us about our judgment.
What we are advancing as local government workers is the issue of implementation of the Supreme Court judgment on independence, financial independence of local government.
Parade by workers is a key feature for the day, and as the celebration winds down, workers are hoping that promises made at this occasion will translate to actions in the days ahead.
The Senate approved the $516 million syndicated loan request by President Bola Tinubu to fund the construction of Section 1, Phases 1A and 1B of the Sokoto-Badagry Superhighway on Wednesday. The approval followed the presentation of a report by the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debts, chaired by Aliyu Wamako, Senate President Godswill Akpabio. And they noted that an earlier loan request remains under review due to the Middle East conflict.
On the second day of plenary, lawmakers moved swiftly to consider key requests from President Tinubu, beginning with the presentation of a report from the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debt on the $516.3 million loan.
The proposed syndicated financing provides a viable mechanism to support timely execution of this strategic corridor, which is expected to enhance connectivity, reduce logistic costs, and stimulate economic growth across multiple regions of the country.
The president is an accountant, financial expert, administrator, who was able to transform Lagos to an economically viable state. So this loan, the requirement has demonstrated, has shown the intention of Mr. President, that is looking everywhere to make sure he develops the entire country.
Without further ado, lawmakers unanimously passed the bill.
In this same chamber, we had approved a borrowing arrangement of about $5 billion to pass through Abu Dhabi. Unfortunately, because of what is going on, the federal government has not been able to have even $1 drawdown on that loan. So it has become very urgent that the ongoing projects that the federal government is already embarking upon should not be allowed to waste.
The Senate also confirmed the nomination of Lamido Abubakar Yuguda as Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, alongside the appointment of Peggy Onwu as an independent director on the board of the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation. Again, lawmakers also expressed fury over a recent attack in Lamode following a motion raised by Senator Binus Yaro.
Armed militias were reported to have invaded Giakan, Waduku, Kwa communities riding on motorcycles and unleashed terrors on defenseless residents. The Senate worried that these attacks take place despite a dusk to dawn curfew being enforced and the presence of military personnel in the area.
The Senate then ordered the Committee on National Security and Intelligence to investigate the spate of attacks on rural communities in the area. By the same token, lawmakers directed the National Emergency Management Agency to immediately conduct a comprehensive assessment of a fire incident at the Headbridge Buildings Materials Market in Onitsha, Anambra State. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
And still ahead on News Round, we have top stories from the week, including politics. That's next. To stay with us. Welcome back. So watching the top news stories from this week. To Lagos now. See, members of the Governance Advisory Council have adopted the Lagos State Deputy Governor, Kadri Hamzat, as a consensus governorship aspirant of the All Progressive Congress in Lagos. The council's chairman, Tajuddin Olusi, announced the decision after a closed-door meeting at Lagos House Marina, noting that 21 members present unanimously agreed to support Hamzat's candidacy. Take a listen.
It's a dream come true for the Deputy Governor of Lagos State, Kadri Hamzat, as leaders of the All Progressives Congress in Lagos State increasingly endorse him as the governorship candidate, the highest and most recent coming from the Governance Advisory Council after a closed-door meeting at the Lagos House Marina. GAC members unanimously agreed that Mr. Hamzat should be the APC's consensus candidate for the 2027 governorship election in Lagos State.
We have adopted, we have all agreed that Alhaji Dr. Olufemi Hamzat, the current deputy governor of our country, of our state, is the consensus candidate, of our party. And we have all pledged to stand by him.
With other prospective aspirants also hopeful of clinching the ticket, a primary election will still take place for all those vying for the position.
The constitution of our party provides for primaries, and our party has guaranteed, free primaries for all members, for all aspirants, for all interested individuals.
Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who is solidly behind his friend and deputy, announces that the GAC will foot the bill for Mr. Hamzat's nomination form.
All of my leaders and my fathers here, they've all taxed themselves that they are going to fund the nomination form, whatever the amount is, for Mr. Deputy, who is our consensus candidate. They've all levied themselves, and they said that they are the ones going to buy him the form for his nomination. And you also see a video that I'm sure is coming out from Abuja where the presidential form has been procured. I want to tell you that it is also here in Lagos as well that I've sent forth to procure the 100 million or so presidential form for Mr. President.
With this development, the race for the Lagos State governorship seat is gaining momentum as Mr. Hamzat also secures the backing of the Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila.
I'm not in any doubt as to his capacity in the course. He's been doing it for years, and I know that all of the blueprint are even elevated to a level. This is a high test. there are lots of desperate people out there who are attempting to wrestle environment. Well, that's how it's done for you before. There's some Kapuya to Nigeria. But for you to stop them, you need some capacity, you need unity among the party members, which is what you have started to roll out to build that is a part of your leadership plan. I believe it's time for us to roll up our sleeves. We have an election to win. We have a stage to govern and take it to another level.
Mr. Kadri Hamzat is well grounded in Lagos state politics with vast experience in governance, having served as the Commissioner at the Ministry of Science and Technology between 2005 and 2011. He later became the Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure from 2011 to 2015. Mr. Hamzat currently serves as the Deputy Governor of Lagos State with high hopes of taking over the affairs of the state in 2027.
And back to Lagos politics. President Bola Tinubu did endorse Deputy Governor Dr. Obafemi Hamzat as the party's governorship candidate for the 2027 election. The president gave his endorsement when he received the Governance Advisory Council of Lagos State All Progressives Congress at the Presidential Villa, Abuja.
I'm really excited that they brought me here to meet Mr. President, and Mr. President has blessed us, endorsed the decision of DAC, and so I'm excited and we are prayerful that God will continue to uplift Nigeria and uplift Lagos State. Well, nobody is ready. Nobody is ready because the assignment is audacious, it's long, but you just pray. What you have is experience. I'm sure you know about Einstein. He said knowledge is about experience. You cannot remember what you don't know. It's only what you know that you remember. So what I can tell you is, having served as the Deputy Governor of Lagos under Governor Sanwo-Olu, I've learned a lot. I have a lot of experience. Like he said, I know the room. I know where the kitchen is. You know, if you want to cook for people, if you don't know the kitchen, it doesn't matter how good a chef you are. You must know the kitchen, you must understand it.
And to the courts. Now, the Supreme Court has set aside an earlier ruling by the Court of Appeal in Abuja concerning the leadership dispute within the African Democratic Congress, effectively restoring the leadership led by David Mark. In a unanimous judgment, the Apex Court directed all parties to return to the Federal High Court for an expedited hearing of the case filed by nephew Bala Gombi. Justice Mohammed Garba ruled that the appellate court exceeded its jurisdiction in issuing its earlier order. The Platform Nigeria marked this year's Workers' Day in Lagos with a strong focus on leadership, national transition and development on Friday. The event brought together thought leaders to discuss Nigeria's future. Convener Poju Yemade urged Nigerians to embrace intentional leadership, while speakers, including Kemi Adeosun, called for human capital development, accountability and economic reforms to drive sustainable growth.
Welcome to the Platform Nigeria, here at the Covenant Place, Igomu.
For the 20th time, the Covenant Nation, organizers of the Platform Nigeria, is hosting experts from various walks of life in Lagos. This time, it's to join the world in celebrating workers with the theme Unlocking the Second Half Advantage, Transition, Impact and Legacy. The convener, Pastor Poju Yemade, stresses intentional leadership and legacy thinking, drawing attention to the need for mid-career Nigerians to reposition for greater impact.
The essence of your success, whatever you become in life, is to be in a position where you can give others that little push that they require. All right? So whatever we do today, and what we do when we talk about the funds we want to give out, that want to comment, that when indeed you succeed, because by the grace of God, all of you will succeed. All right? That don't be like those that climb up the ladder of opportunity and kick that ladder and nobody finds their space up. All right? So understand this, just that little push may create a Chief Justice. Does that little push may create somebody who is at platform and have a national event. You don't know who you are pushing up the ladder.
For the first guest, Ms. Ngozi Akinyele, she notes that sustainable progress depends on empowering individuals with the right skills and opportunities.
We also know this, that there are several factors that drive your growth from being a small business to a startup and then a scale-up. You have your product market fit, right? You have your marketing and distribution, which is actually my day job. Capital strategy, figuring out how to keep your costs under control and how to manage regulation. All of those things are very important.
On his part, Mr. John Alamu, founder and group managing director of Capital Sage Holdings, is seeking for a new generation of leaders who embrace transparency while leveraging technology to drive efficiency across sectors.
For Africa to be the next frontier, we need to understand what Asia is doing and then do what? Do better. So, if you're an 8 to 5 person, you cannot be the new frontier. If you are not self-aware, you cannot be the new frontier.
A former Minister of Finance, Ms. Kemi Adeosun, follows this line of thought, underscoring the need for fiscal discipline, economic reforms, and strategic planning.
Sometimes you're in a job, and this is where some entrepreneurs make mistakes. You're in a job and I just want to have my own business. I just want to have my own business. And you're not doing the other person's business particularly well. In that business where you are is where you can make the connections that will give you yours.
The Platform Nigeria continues to convene policymakers, entrepreneurs, and young professionals for critical conversations on national development.
That was absolutely
Our news round ends with a 4-day state visit to the United States as King Charles III and Queen Camilla were welcomed at the White House by President Donald Trump and Melania Trump. During the visit, the King, addressing the U.S. Congress, emphasized unity and he also called for renewed cooperation despite current tensions. And those were the top stories for the week. Thank you for watching. I'm Ladi Williams. Bye for now.